Welcome to the Restless Journey, the official podcast of Austin Prep. This series offers a closer look at the people, programs, and purposeful initiatives that bring our core values to life. Each episode, we invite voices from across the Austin Prep community, students, faculty, alumni, and friends to share insights, experiences, and reflections that shape who we are today and where we're headed tomorrow. Now, let's get started with today's episode of the Restless Journey Podcast.
Welcome back to the Restless Journey Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Fleming, and I'm joined today by Mr. Todd Moriarty, Director of Dining Services with Sage Dining. Todd, you're a very important part of our school community in that you keep everyone fueled and happy every single day. So looking forward to hearing more about your thoughts on how you keep our community fed and happy. And I think as we reflect in terms of kind of your history here, the dining hall and the dining experience, I think, has really transformed our school and the students' experience in particular. So looking forward to getting into some of those topics. But kind of a fun day today. This is our third podcast, and it's actually the first one that we've recorded while we've had students here. And again, we're in our new podcast studio, and one of the cool aspects is we have floor-to-ceiling windows here. So hopefully at some point during the day that we'll have some students popping in and waving and kind of feel like we're on the Today Show in Rockefeller Center. So I guess as we reflect and think back, the thing that I'm struck with is that how quickly time has gone and passed.
Yes.
This is year number 8.
Yes.
Having the new dining hall, having Sage Dining feeding us, and of course with Sage Dining here, you being here as well. So as I think back to that time, any thoughts about like the early days when you first got started here?
Well, starting here, it was actually, I was just starting with Sage Dining as well. So myself, and at the time, the chef, and in fact, the entire team was all brand new to Sage. So this whole thing was new to us. So it was definitely an adventure. When you're starting things off, you look at other schools in the area, how they're doing dining services, what are some of the things they like. And you try to mirror a little bit because you're coming in new and don't exactly know. So the key thing was, I would say in the beginning, was being able to pivot quickly. We tried some things that worked really well. We tried some things that didn't work well. So we're constantly changing, and even here we are in year 8, we're constantly making changes as we, see things that work well, and as we talk to students, faculty, and staff.
I think that's a good point, because what I think about, even though we're in year 8, the facility itself still feels very brand new. Yeah. You're constantly doing new things with the menu. So it does feel like, even though you've been here a while now and you've worked through some things, clearly it feels like it's brand new and very much a part of the student experience here. So I think what's interesting to maybe talk a little bit about, especially for prospective families that might be interested in coming to Austin Prep, I think what makes it really special is that it's an all-inclusive model. So lunch every day is included in the tuition to come to Austin Prep. So maybe talk a little bit about what you think that means to a family in terms of knowing, I want to go to school every day and all my dining needs are taken care of.
Absolutely. It's great to have. So I've talked to many existing parents, I've talked to many prospective parents, and along with prospective students, and it is a key part. You have obviously a lot of working families, and there's a lot going on both at home. The students have both academics and sports going on, so time is limited for everybody. So having a program like this, where the food is available to them every day, we have a wide variety of choices, so they can come in, depending on what mood they're in for. There's a ton of selections. So I get a lot of feedback from parents. It's great. Just I can, drop my student off and have them go in and have such, great selections, for both, nutrition, but also, creating levels of excitement. I've had a lot of students, go home, especially some of the new students who've never seen something like this. And, I'll hear back from their parents like, wow, this is great. My student really loves this. They come back, and I've had a couple parents reach out to me and state that, this is great and I love it. But sometimes I keep hearing my student come home and say, "Mom, this is better than yours," which I guess is a good thing. But it's fun to hear that, because our goal is to create basically a home style food for all of our students, something that they'll be comfortable with, along with trying to challenge some of them. We'll do a lot of authentic international cuisine, so we'll try to pair some of the standards that the students like with something that might be a little more challenging, to try to expand their taste buds a little bit. But yeah, having the kids come in, and it's great. I remember growing up, and you wait in that line to pay for your lunch to get that maybe square piece of pizza, and the carton of milk. Everything we do here is scratch cooking. We try to source as much as possible locally. For example, like the milk that we get from a local dairy up in Danvers, and we'll talk on the phone on a Friday. I'll place my order. He will literally milk the cows over the weekend.
Wow.
And then we get that milk on Monday. So yeah, as much as possible, we want to try to bring everything back to the region, and source as much locally.
Sure. So back to the all-inclusive model. And so when I say that the dining experience is included in tuition, I think you alluded to it a little bit, that it's more than when you think of maybe like traditional school lunch, something wrapped in paper or coming in a cardboard box. And I always tell students that to be honest, when you depart Austin Prep and you go to whatever college you're going to go to, the dining experience is probably going to be a downgrade. So certainly spoiled here. So maybe again, to that point of like what is included, maybe just kind of get an overview of when they come to lunch every day, kind of how do you strategically put things out? What exactly can they be expecting? What are the options that a student might have daily?
Sure. And just to piggyback on what you said, I've actually had a lot of our recent graduates come back, go off to college, and state that the experience here is much better than what they're getting where they are at college. So, which is great to hear. But yes, so when you come into the dining hall, there are a wide variety of selections. The vast majority of what we have is self-service, so you can walk up to any station, help yourself, take what you want. You can come up as often as you want, so there's no reason for anyone to leave hungry. We have a tremendous salad bar, so we'll offer a couple of lettuces, a lot of the typical vegetables you'll see, but we always do some composed salads. Usually it's like 2 or 3 composed grain salads, along with a selection of proteins. It could be chicken, it could be yogurts, cottage cheeses. We always have fresh cut fruit every day on the salad bar. Our deli bar, we offer fresh roasted meats. We roast our own turkeys in-house, our own roast beef, so we have a selection of meats, cheeses, homemade hummus, homemade chicken salad. I get a lot of feedback from people who like chicken salad, say it's the best chicken salad they've ever had. So there's some great selections at the deli bar. And then the way we kind of arrange what we call the main entrees, we'll always have something that is, quote unquote, kid friendly. So we'll have like a burger bar, we'll have build your own chicken sandwich day, we'll have a taco bar, some fun things. We try to do more and more build your own, that way the students can customize. So if there's an ingredient they don't like, they don't have to have it in there. So something as simple as mac and cheese, we'll deconstruct that and they can build that on their own. So the build your own is huge there. We do have another station. So one of our stations is called Freestyle. The purpose of the station is that it's free of the top 12 allergens. We have quite a few students here with some sort of allergy. So this station is free of the top 12 allergens. But what it really is it's basically clean proteins, fresh vegetables, fresh starches, and it's delicious food. In fact, we've actually had to expand the station. So it is a full serve station because it is free of the top 12 allergens. We're trying to prevent any cross contact. So what we've done, we've actually created a self-serve station with the exact same food, just because the volume of students who are going up there for their meals, we want to make sure we get students through pretty fast. We have a vegetarian station every day where there's a vegetarian protein every day. Something that we started a few years back, there's always some sort of pasta every day. It wasn't something we did, but again, it was a request from students like, hey, can we get this? And it was pretty simple, so sure. So we offer a pasta every day. We have 2 homemade soups every day. So one of them will run through the week. So we might have something like our chicken noodle soup, and then we'll swap out the secondary soup every day to give a variety. Our beverage station, I mentioned the great milk that we get. We have a selection of juices, coffees, but we also do our spa water, which is basically it's just fruit infused water, and that goes over very well. And we also have our own clean sports drink. So basically what Gatorade was when it first came out, it was just all it is water, salt, and a little bit of fruit juice and pure cane sugar, and it's enough to help with the electrolytes. So that's another offering we have. And then of course the dessert station, which is very popular with especially our middle schoolers. So we'll do a selection of fresh baked cookies. We'll do something like, churros. We'll do strawberry shortcake biscuits. So it's fresh, strawberries, homemade whipped cream. So we try to change all of that up. And all of this all of the hot food changes daily. And we have basically a 4-week rotation. And we run that basically a couple times, and then we create a whole new cycle. So we'll change the cycle at least 3 times a year just to kind of keep things fresh. But we try to keep some of the favorites on and make sure we keep reintroducing the favorites because that's what the students are looking for.
Sure. So I think that's an interesting point in that, I think you really make it a point to offer students maybe some styles of food that maybe might be a little more advanced than what, a typical high schooler might experience.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking on behalf of myself, I have the palate of a high schooler, right? So I could probably have the burger bar or pizza almost every day. So how do you blend that idea of, offering, students who are between 12 and 18 years old, things that they might be comfortable with, but at the same time showing them like, oh, here's some different options that, might be geared a little bit more towards the faculty or somebody else who has some more worldly dining experiences or interests?
Yeah, so we're lucky enough with the population that we have, we can offer both basically every day. So every day we always have something that be say kid friendly. It could be a taco bar at one station, and then at the other station we'll feature food like we did recently from Guatemala, where we'll have a selection of authentic foods that with the recipes are authentic from specifically Guatemala. We'll do regions all around the world, but the key is to make sure that we have something for everybody, because when you have middle schoolers all the way up through seniors in high school, the palates do change. And it is something that's great to see that I have seen the palates change of some of our students who started here early, and as they get older, they're getting a little more curious and trying new things, and so it's always fun to see that and get some feedback
Sure.
from them as well.
So I would imagine feeding over 900 people a day that you have plenty of feedback and comments. So I'm kind of interested, how do you manage that? I have to believe that you have to have some sort of an aspect of a thick skin, because probably if somebody's giving you comments every single day, can we have more of this, less of this? Why don't we do this? So how do you personally manage that? But then also at the same time, what kind of options do members of our community have to give you thoughts or feedback or requests to kind of make sure that they're staying happy,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time you're providing a level of service that you're familiar with and comfortable with?
Yeah. So I'd say the toughest challenge is like we'll have someone come up to us, oh my God, chicken sandwich day, can we have that every day? And my response is that, we're trying to provide a variety. We have, like you said, we're feeding well over 900 people, and that could be 900 different tastes. So we're trying to get as much of it in as possible, meet the needs of as many people as possible is what they're looking for. So that's the bulk of the feedback. I've had some feedback where, someone said, well, I didn't like the broccoli today. And I'm like, well, do you like broccoli? No. It's like, okay, well, I get that. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, we want feedback because that is how we improve. In fact, that's how we've made a lot of the changes that we've made. And there are many ways we get feedback. People will walk up to me in the dining hall, provide feedback. I think one of the largest ways we get feedback is either through email, or we have an app called Touch of Sage where people can provide feedback on items. It's my point that within 24 hours of anybody, putting in a suggestion, a comment, any feedback, that they get a reply back personally from me. And a lot of it, some of the things I can do. And then, some of it might be a little bit out of reach, but we're always trying to find ways. So if we can't do exactly what they're looking for, myself, the executive chef, and the team will have conversations like, okay, what can we do maybe that would fit in this mode that, how can we make something else work? But so we're constantly trying to change, adapt to what the tastes are of the students. So feedback is definitely important, and it's encouraged.
Can you recall maybe the wildest comment or request or piece of feedback you've received here?
So I've had a couple. Like one I just thought was interesting. It was actually a graduating senior, and she mentioned how much she loved the food and everything else. And her question was, could we have dino nugget chicken one day? And she kept on, this was a written email. She's like, this isn't a joke, this is serious. I really like the dino chicken. And I replied back that, as much as I probably enjoyed those in my youth, one of the things with those things is that they're not all clean protein. So what we focus on here is to make sure that everything we serve, you can understand the ingredients that are in it. And then again, we have the concerns of those with allergies that, we want to make sure things are allergy friendly. We are a peanut tree nut free kitchen. So even items that might produce in a facility that has peanuts or tree nuts, we don't bring those items in just because of the concern. The other one actually was from a teacher here at the school, and it was about one of the desserts. We did a hot Belgian waffle like sundae bar for dessert. And the feedback I got was, I know it was delicious, but can you please never run this again, because my sixth graders came back all sugared up and running around. So I thought that funny. I'm like, okay, that is actually positive feedback. But yeah, I thought that was one of the funnier ones that I've gotten.
Very good. So let's talk a little bit specifically about the dining hall in itself. Again,
Mm-hmm.
So we're 8 years into this,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that's where students have lunch. You serve lunch upwards of 2 hours a day, so it's a big block of our day. But not only the times that they gather during lunch together, it's a gathering place before school, after school, free blocks. Advisory groups often meet in the dining hall, so it's really kind of the center of student life in terms of gathering. So, how does, and I don't know if you technically manage the space, but in a lot of ways that's your room, that's your place. So maybe talk about, what it's like to observe students gathering, building friendships, interacting with teachers in that space.
Sure. So it is great. Like first thing in the morning, it is where the students gather. What I love about the space, the way they create it, is the vast majority of tables are round tables. So it is a group setting. There isn't a person at the head of the table. It is a community of people at the table. And it is fun to watch the students interact and talk about their day and see their friends. There's just this level of excitement, especially first thing in the morning, which is great to see. And then throughout the day, when there are some free blocks, there'll be some students in there, they'll be studying. I'll have an opportunity to talk to students when it's a little quieter, just, pick their brain a little bit, ask how things are going and what they like to see. And same thing at lunchtime. We know that the students are working hard here at school, and we want to create a fun environment. So the space creates that helps us create what we're doing. It basically, it's symbiotic of each other. So for us to provide the great food we provide, you need the facilities to present it, offer it, create the flow. So students can get through, they can get their food quickly, they can sit down with their friends, have a conversation, talk about sports after school, talk about what they're doing for the weekend. It's a great way for students to socially interact. And then you just mentioned too, we will have, sometimes teachers will bring their students down. Some classes will be held down there. So it's fun to see the space utilized, not just for lunch, but for gatherings of all type.
Sure. I think it's actually an opportunity to reference, Dr. Hickey always mentions that mission is at the forefront of everything that we do. And And that's not necessarily just, big picture strategic thoughts. It's sometimes very operational in nature. And you mentioned the round tables, and I know that that was a decision that he made very strategically in nature, and that it's a round table. There's 8 seats at each table, and it's meant to have a group that's able to converse and interact, as opposed to long rectangular tables where somebody's on the periphery and not able to really interact. So I think the dining hall in particular is a great example of how just our mission aligned and mission based decisions go into everything that we do, and just something as simple as the tables really show how committed we are to our community in general.
Absolutely, and even the change going community inclusive for feeding. So prior to that, it was a traditional retail location, and Dr. Hickey had that vision to make that change, and that's a big change. When you make a cultural switch like that, there's definitely risk involved, because there's a lot of uncertainty from parents and students, because they don't know what it is, they haven't seen it before, so there is some anxiety around it. And it was great, to work with the Austin Prep team during the pre-opening, through the process, get it ready, and obviously as we opened, and then again it's worked out great. I couldn't be happier to be here with the support of the Austin Prep team.
Yeah. So your experience here is not limited necessarily to feeding 900 people a day over a 2-hour block. We host and manage a lot of special events here on campus, special groups. So maybe talk a little bit about, do you have something that has been particularly memorable that's aside from just the student dining experience that you've been involved with here?
Sure. Yeah, we do quite a few events here. In the spring, we hosted the Augustine Values Institute, where we had schools from around the world. There was representatives from Ireland and Australia. And that was a lot of fun, because we had a lot more flexibility with menu, because we're dealing with an international crowd. So one of the funny things was we were working on one of the dinners, and we had a plan in place. And then all of a sudden someone brought up, it's like, that's a Friday and we're in the middle of Lent.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no meat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, great point. So we quickly pivoted and said, well, we're in New England, let's do a clam bake. So we had a lot of fun with that. So one of the dinners we did is New England clam bake. One of the lunches we had, it was a barbecue. And then like for dessert, we made like these homemade mini key lime pies. We had omelets cooked to order. So it was a lot of fun. It was great, where we had a new group who had never been here before, and we were able to kind of, change up what we do, and it's a lot of fun to work on those events. We'll have some of these events that even repeat, and it's great to kind of look at it. Okay, that went well. Like, what can we do to up the game next time? And we're looking forward to next spring. We'll have the student version, Savvy, coming here. So the menu will be a little bit different, again, because the key focus will be focused on students versus adults. But yeah, those events are a lot of fun. It's an opportunity too, where I get to interact with parents. There's a lot of parent events, and I'll get their feedback, what they're hearing from their students, which is great. But yeah, it's fun to be able just to throw different ideas out there, what's new in food trends, and try them out. But yeah, those events are a lot of fun.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about you in terms of how you got into this profession. I would imagine that, I think, cooking and dining is something that has a lot of family roots or historic roots. So is there anything in particular that kind of led you to this profession? And I'm curious, do you cook Thanksgiving dinner for family, Christmas dinner, or is it something like it's somebody else's job?
So I guess I'll start from the beginning. My first interest was baking, in the kitchen with my mother, doing a lot of baking. That kind of got my interest in food. And then my very first job was as a dishwasher for a catering company. And while I was there, they let me work in the kitchen a little bit, and I worked my way up to actually helping host offsite events. And it really piqued my interest in food service itself. And then from there, I went to UMass Amherst. They had a hotel restaurant program there. And from there, I actually went to New York City and I joined a company where I was providing food service for large, corporate companies, corporate food service. And that was the vast majority of what I did before I arrived here at Austin Prep. And Austin Prep was a change where it's, students, where it's a much younger population than I was used to serving. But that was definitely one of the best changes. The students are amazing here. I enjoy being here. So that's kind of how I got here. Cooking at home, I actually do enjoy cooking. And yes, when it comes to any of the major meals, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whether I'm hosting or not, I'm cooking. Even if I'm at a friend's barbecue, I'm on the grill. It's what I enjoy doing in my off time. In fact, I just started, I took a class in sourdough bread making. So I've just started that and had my first successful loaf. But yeah, it's actually, to me, it's relaxing. I do enjoy it. It's just something I guess I've always had in me, that I've just loved being around food, making people happy. So yeah, it's just from the very beginning, it's just the direction I knew that I wanted to take.
Sure. Well, as we close out here, I'm always interested in the quantity and volume of some things that you push out to the community on a daily basis. And I think maybe some others might be as well. So I'm just going to throw a few menu items out at you, and you don't have to give me the exact number, but just give me an idea of what you will serve in a typical lunch. So
okay.
Fridays typically is our pizza day. So how many pizzas are you making on a typical Friday? We're
probably averaging about 160 whole pizzas.
All right. And how about burger day? How many burgers?
Oh, wow. I think we're doing, it's around 1,250.
All right. And then another popular day is chicken sandwich day. Is it equal to a burger day?
It's pretty close.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now, how about on a typical pasta day, pounds of pasta?
So if pasta is the main meal, where it's like a pasta bar, of cooked pasta, if you weigh the cooked pasta, it's a few hundred pounds of pasta.
All right. And then how about just gallons of beverage throughout a day? I know you have all the beverages you mentioned. Are you able to kind of pull that all
I'd say
together?
like, for example, like chocolate milk, we do about 5 gallons of chocolate milk a day. On the juices, it's probably about 10 gallons. The spa water is about 3 gallons, about a gallon on the sports drink. But yeah, we go through quite a bit.
Very good. Well, on behalf of myself and all my colleagues, I think it's worth noting that we eat here at Daily as well, and it's certainly a great perk and benefit to working at Austin Prep. Not only to have great quality lunch available every day, but it's an opportunity for us to, disconnect from the work grind and, spend 20, 25, 30 minutes with colleagues and eat and socialize a little bit. And we're grateful that you provide that opportunity for us. So I want to tell you, I generally like everything you serve. Like I said, I probably lean towards the high school menu, or middle school menu a little more. One of my favorites, certainly, when you have breakfast for lunch. One of my favorite events here is when we welcome back the graduating class from the year before, that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I think last year, a class of must have been 24. We probably had well over 100 graduates come back. It was a great group, and that brunch that you make is one of my favorites as well. But we're kind of in the middle of the fall here, so I got to say probably my favorite thing you serve is the apple crisp. So
really,
I'm looking forward to. We haven't had it yet, but I'm assuming that it's probably going to be on the menu here shortly. So
it's actually funny you say that, because
there we go.
I brought you.
Thank you.
Was some delicious, freshly baked apple crisp.
I appreciate that.
It's too bad this isn't like smell-o-vision, but
yes. Well, we have a lot of technical capabilities with our production crew, so we can maybe get some smell in here. But this is so much. We should have some ourselves, but I maybe invite our production team, Miss Nina Bramante and PJ Malafronte, to have a piece with us. So do we have silverware, plates, or any of that?
Yes, we have some right over here.
Was this special request, or you just said that you figured I would want this for the show?
I heard that you liked apple crisp, so I figured, you know what? Let's do something special for Tyler.
All right, thank you. Why don't you guys come on? We'll have some together here. PJ can have this. We'll have to clean up after ourselves
It's going to be a little bit messy in here, but
Looks awesome.
here you are,
You,
PJ.
PJ.
Thank you.
While we have PJ here, PJ was one of the the brainstorming brainchild of putting this studio together with Mr. Brad Harkin. So he's behind all the technology. And Miss Bramante, class of 2019, our assistant director of communications. She can have. Oh, you got
Oh, I
this.
got
All
some.
right,
Thank
we're good.
Perfect.
Guys.
We're good.
Thank you.
Well, Todd, thanks for joining us. Look forward to many years of sharing great meals together in the dining hall. So
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.